by Riverside.
Hello and welcome back to the Sad Fan, where we talk about the good, the bad, and everything that made us sad from the previous week. Sometimes in sports, and sometimes we waver and get a little off topic. But again, like we talked about last week, we kind of have a sports equinox, and tomorrow and Thanksgiving look chock full of just a ton of events, thanks to the World Cup. And, seamlessly, that leads me to what makes me sad. I'm so sad the USA didn't finish off Wales. Greg Berhalter drives me absolutely nuts as a head coach. He is frustrating, and anytime a coach has that air of I know more than you and I'm so much better than you at and then they don't win, that's my issue. Like, if you do that and you win, I will shut up, I will bow down, I will genuflect before you. But if you don't fucking win, sorry, already cursing, but if you don't win, you just look like an arrogant idiot. Like, that's what Berhalter looks like to me through all of qualifying. And he could be like, well, I led us to qualifying when we didn't qualify in 2018, right? He can say that. And I could be like, yeah, but you also finished third in your group. After beating Mexico 3 times in a row, you still finished third in your group, okay? Which means you lost to the teams you're supposed to beat. You just happened to beat the teams that were supposed to beat.
A country of 300 plus million, one of the most diverse countries. We should be qualifying for the World Cup every damn year.
Every year.
Exactly.
We're so far behind. Go ahead, Chelsea.
I mean, his only credentials really seem to be that he's played in a World Cup before. Like, what else are you bringing to the table? Like, when I was watching the USA-Wales game, that's all they had to say about him as a coach. Not like, he's super inspirational, or, he seems to have a lot of amazing technical skills that he's passed on to his players, or any advice on how to. It was just, he's been here before, so he knows what it's like for these guys. And I'm sorry, that doesn't translate, just as we've seen with plenty of other sports where people who have won championships as a player don't exactly have whatever it is as a coach to translate that into
I play T-ball, so therefore that makes me qualified to teach T-ball.
But Gio Reyna, who was the player we were all kind of like, why are they not putting Giovanni Reyna in the game when we need one more goal? We just need one more goal. Put one of our best goal scorers, one of our best young prospects in the game, right? So he comes out with a statement because the speculation started. Is he injured? Yeah. Is he not fit, right? And he comes out and his statement is, I'm 100% healthy. Of course, it's his decision, referring to Greg Berhalter, what he does with the team. I can't speak to why coach did what he did, but I am good to go. And I'm like, yeah, he's lost the locker room. If a player comes out and says that, it's over. Some of the subs made sense. Yedlin for Sergio Dest made sense. Taking out McKinney for Aronson made sense because those 2 players were injured. I don't even mind Kellen Acosta coming in for Yunus Musa. Where I start to have issue was we start to get Jordan Morris coming in. And we had there was another player that came in that I did not like. I was pretty mad at. But oh God, why is it slipping my mind now? Anyway, Haji Wright. I didn't want Haji Wright to come in the game. I wanted one of the other strikers on the roster to come in, not Haji Wright. I think it was Gio Reyna. I was like, why are we not putting in Gio Reyna instead of Haji Wright, right? And then Morris, Jordan Morris. Greg Berhalter is so frustrating, and obviously, they should have expected Wales to come out at halftime ready to rule, but it almost looked like it caught them off guard. Like they were not prepared, right?
I mean, because Wales was playing defensive the entire first half, and obviously they're not going to do that when they're down in the second half. They should be prepared for a more physical attack, and they weren't. Yeah,
and everybody's all over Zimmerman. Walker Zimmerman played an excellent game until that tackle. Yes, it was a terrible play, right? Yeah. But Gareth Bale, people don't understand. Gareth Bale is a superstar. He's legitimately a superstar. And he set that up from the beginning. And Walker Zimmerman, though he played amazing that game, is not a superstar. And Gareth Bale set that up, and then boom, got exactly what he was looking for inside the box. And it was a brain fart by Walker Zimmerman to make that tackle inside the box when the player had his back to him. But it's not his fault they tied that game. It was I put it all on Greg Berhalter, to be honest. Christian Pulisic was getting bullied the whole game. It was so funny. One of my favorite sports reporters, Mina Kimes, she'll never watch this, but I love her. I love her work. I think she's an amazing reporter. But her tweet was, I started off this game like, maybe I'll watch Team USA, 30 minutes ago. Me now. If you don't stop bullying Christian Pulisic, I will threaten you with violence. And it was funny because...
the guy
go ahead.
came out of that game just looking like he was battered.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't just like tired and sweaty, from a game. He just looked like he had been in an American football game without pads or a helmet. He took a lot.
So speaking of American football, Chelsea, we could talk about European football all day, and we will towards the end of the podcast. So stay tuned if you want more FIFA chat. But what made you sad?
So what made me sad, and apparently you guys in our meeting beforehand had said that there were reasons for this, but it was just the general fan experience for the Niners Cardinals game down in Mexico City. I love Mexico City. I've been there a few times. I think it is a gorgeous space. I have not been to Estadio Azteca, but to see chain link fences separating every area with razor wire on top in some areas, not all of them, but if you were anywhere besides like the boxes or down in the very front row, so the average fan who's traveling internationally for this experience, you were greeted. I don't even know how to explain.
Welcome to hell, bitch.
For your safety.
It looks more like the MMA octagon rather than a regular seat. And yes, there have been some horrible incidents in this stadium due to Mexican soccer and the fans. Apparently,
I'm sorry. Is Mexican soccer different from any other soccer? I just need clarification.
Yeah, actually,
does it have a little bit more spice?
They play with sombreros on.
So, as a fan who's traveling internationally, you really want to have the full experience, right? You're paying a lot for these tickets, you're paying for the airfare, you're having to pay for your hotel. So to get to a stadium and have it look more like the octagon from the MMA rather than what you're used to is really kind of a strange thing for the NFL. I'm really wondering why they didn't have crews take down these fences for this game, so that way American fans, Mexican fans, anyone who came into the city for this game would be able to enjoy the experience of being at the game without, an obstructed view and without, barbed wire in your face. It just seems a little bit crazy to me that this was kind of allowed to pass and having everyone kind of cordoned off into these zones. So I really hope that, as we look to having games abroad more often, that there really is kind of a little bit better control by the NFL of what the event is supposed to be like in terms of the fan experience and just the setting in general. As we've seen, sometimes host nations are not exactly amenable to certain requests by the governing body of that specific sport. But you would think with the amount of revenue and tourism dollars that they are bringing into these countries in a post-COVID world that, they would be more or less on board for at least a temporary removal of, the chain link fences.
I totally agree with it, but I think we're going to take what we can get for now to expand the NFL game, right? Because the goal is to have, I think he wants it to be a worldwide game. I think Roger Goodell looks at the NFL and how much money it makes every year in America. And he's like, man, if only we could expound upon this and make it a worldwide game. And like Wes said, in Germany, huge game in Germany. Everybody showed out. Everybody loves it there. But you don't want to grow too fast, I think is the caution, right? Don't grow too big too fast. So
and that's not what I'm suggesting at all, because I understand what you're saying. And I mean, the Mexican fans looked amazing. They were totally decked out. showed up for the Niners, a little less so for the Cardinals, but you know, that's kind of understandable these days. But what I'm saying is, when you are kind of like renting, you know, the space, that there should be, you know, some concessions made as to what that space will look like for your specific event, whether it's a concert or, you know, an NFL game. You make some small changes to the space that you're in, and it was just interesting to see that hadn't been made. I'm not saying that, you know, when you go into another country, we need to be all American imperialistic capitalists about it, but, you know, we could try to, you know, request a few things here and there.
Yes, we're not trying to take over their country via American football. But
maybe we are.
You know who should have put in better waiver requests and requests for their teams? Wes.
Screw you.
Right? And I think that leads us to what makes him sad. Screw me.
Fantasy football made me sad. I lost with, let's see. My opponent had 3 people on bye and 1 on injured reserve, and I still lost because they had Travis Kelce and Chris Olave, which combined for 300 points on their team because we have a weird scoring. Meanwhile, Justin Jefferson and CeeDee Lamb laid an egg, so I mean, I literally lost to someone who doesn't even pay attention.
The only difference in scoring is that everything's a point, right? It's not like half points and things like that. It's just everything's a point.
Yeah,
it's a point. Every catch is a point. It just makes it so much simpler. I know. Oh my God, it's not traditional. The score's too high. It's literally so easy. Everything's a point. That's how you add it up. But the
whole thing's make believe anyway. So
yes,
I mean,
total scores end up being like 10 times more than normal, but
it's fun to look at though. It is fun to look at.
800 points.
Shit. But yeah. What's funny is I know the audience isn't in on it, but we're going to expand this. We're going to allow audience participation in this league. It was kind of experimental for the Sad Fan because when we were getting kicked off, we didn't know how steady the ship was going to be, and it's been a success beyond what I thought it would be, and we're still growing as you guys can see. Please subscribe to all of our properties. We have a new property coming out here in a couple weeks, which is very exciting, called Popcorn and Beers. So check it out. It's going to be a movie review podcast, and it's a little bit different scoring system. We rate movies by 1 popcorn, it's terrible. 2 a popcorn and a beer means it was serviceable. Popcorn, 3 beers. Hey, really, really good movie. Popcorn and 3 beers. It was amazing. Can't believe how great this movie is. Go see it. Get drunk. I will say this. My team was terrible. I was ranked 8th when we drafted. No, 7th. Luckily, I was drafted behind Josh, who literally just based on that player looks like he could play football. Josh is on our Gorp property, so please check out Gorp. Right? So, I was very disappointed. But then my team actually works out very well for the scoring system where every point's a yard or everything's a point. Wherever, like PPR, right? 1 point for PPR, 1 point per yard. Because I went ahead and drafted a running quarterback, so I get yards for every run he gets. I've got receivers that just catch the ball. I had DeAndre Hopkins on my bench for 6 weeks, waiting for him to be able to play. And it's a George Kittle for 4 weeks, waiting him for him to be able to play. So it's crazy because I have now passed West.
I mean, technically we're tied.
I have
a little more points than me, but that's because I forgot to set my lineup for 2 weeks while I was in Europe because the whole time change just screwed with me and I kept forgetting. So that's my excuse. Yeah, this is the Sad Fan, so I'm gonna cry.
Being in Europe. Yeah. Being in Europe for time changes, can't relate. Weird.
I mean, you're used to it now, so I don't want to hear about it.
That does sound like a sad.
Just before you had to start playing fantasy, okay?
Well, next year you'll do better.
Fun fact: if you put a reminder on your calendar and then your phone automatically updates its time zones, it'll remind you at the right time.
I'm not about to make freaking calendar events for fantasy.
For fantasy.
I'm not that hardcore.
I will not.
You should because you're losing.
I haven't done any trades this year. I haven't even thought about doing a trade.
I haven't either. I wrote it out because I'm good at fantasy football. But the Eagles are still weird. They almost lost to Jeff Saturday's Colts. And I don't think Jeff Saturday's a great coach by any means, but maybe just a great motivator, maybe a legend, right? That was a weird one. The Vikings.
in the NFL, like, let's be honest, like, a team can be competitive even without a head coach or, like, just with anybody at that point.
I think that's more NBA, Wes. I really do. I think that's more the NBA. I think the NBA, if you have a couple superstars, you're going to be great. But I think the NFL, you need a coach.
Well, like, I mean,
absolutely.
With your coordinators and stuff like that, like, that head coach role, like, obviously a great head coach makes an entire difference. But, like, a team can still be competitive with other teams in the NFL with just, like, the coordinators doing their job. Are they going to win it? Are they going to win a lot of games?
And you see that? No, you see that in the NCAA. That's what Saban does. Saban is a great head coach, but Saban decks out his defensive coordinator positions. And he's been doing that for years. Where, like, right now, I think it's Bill O'Brien, right? Former NFL head coach, former head coach of Penn State. Like, I don't think Bill O'Brien's a great coach at all, but he's won a couple Super Bowls with the Patriots. He's been tapped to be a head coach in a couple different roles, so he does it all the time with coordinators. So I don't think you're wrong. I thought you were saying just, like, roll the ball out there and the players can play.
I was going to say there's way too many moving parts.
Yeah. Like, different shifts, especially with where defenses are and offenses are now. I think you only have a few seconds to really get your team in order. Right? And I think if it was all players, you'd see so many. Yeah,
because the coordinators like know enough of what they're doing. I mean, and for the most part, most of the coordinators, like, a lot of them could, like, step into a head coach role for the most part.
Yeah, I would agree to that. I would agree to that. And then they might fail miserably, like Josh McDaniels does for the Raiders. But that's another topic for another day. But
they won.
They did. They beat Mr. Unlimited, and apparently it's unlimited how bad. That's right. Like, I think he forgot to understand that when he went to Denver, he still had to play other football teams, and they're pretty good out there as well. You know, his coach is a hack. Get it?
I think the best meme I saw, I sent it to you, Fry, but it was the scene from Austin Powers when he's backing up the golf cart in that little narrow hallway, and someone put Russell Wilson's face on it, and every time he hit the wall, he would say, "Broncos country, let's ride! Broncos country, let's ride!" It was hilarious.
You also get the one I like too is they got him on the quarter horse. They put his body on a quarter horse, and it's Broncos country, let's ride, on one of those little quarter horses that's like goes up and down outside of like convenience stores. Like, you know, his defense hates him. His defense hates him, just like in Seattle. And all that talk. I mean, now that Geno Smith is doing what he's doing, I feel like if you just had an above-average quarterback for the Legion of Boom and Marshawn Lynch, that team would have done it. That team would have been great, you know?
I mean,
probably won more Super Bowls.
But, I mean, I think it's just falling off of a cliff very fast.
You know what? You're right. That audible from the run at the goal line was such a great call in that second Super Bowl.
Do you want me to log off? I'll log off right the fuck now.
But speaking of that division, I guess we can come back to the Vikings here in a minute, because that's another team where we were all trying to figure out if they were for real or not. Their point differential is wild, right? I think they're 8-2 now, but their point differential is they're like negative like 40 points after this game.
They got slapped by the Cowboys.
Yeah, but to be 8-2 and have a negative point differential, that's really nuts. Like, that's really telling, right? But we talked about Mexico game. The Cardinals didn't show up, and the Cardinals look like Cliff Kingsbury's on his way out after feuding with his players, feuding with Kyler Murray. They just re-signed Kyler Murray.
Yeah. So, I was going to say that's crazy because, like, I originally doubted the Kingsbury hire when he after he got fired from Texas Tech, but like the first few years, like, the Cardinals improved quite a bit, and I was like, wow, maybe this might work out. And then it's just like this year. I mean, last year they were still pretty competitive, but this year it's like just been trash.
I think he's a one-trick pony, like Josh McDaniel. It's like his system or the highway. But the problem is, if you don't adjust in the NFL, coaches, Wes, catch up to you, right? And it happens to Cliff Kingsbury. It seemed like, you're right, he was good at the beginning of seasons, but at the end of every season, the Cardinals would just fall off a cliff, and I think that's coaching.
Yeah.
Right? Like, he's not keeping up with what's going on. And I think he competed against one of the best NFL coaches in Kyle Shanahan. I love Kyle Shanahan. I've loved Kyle Shanahan for a very long time. I think he's an amazing head coach. He's up there with the Andy Reids of the world for me and how he schemes and how he's able to put a team on the field. He does it with Jimmy G, who I don't think is a great quarterback, but he looked really good against the Cardinals, right? What did he throw? 4 touchdowns, 2 to George Kittle, who, let's be honest, George Kittle's going to make any quarterback look good when George Kittle's healthy. That guy's a monster. Yeah. But I think the 49ers, in my opinion, just watching them when healthy, I think they're the best team in the NFC. I don't think the Cowboys are. I think the Cowboys are great.
Wait. The NFC, not just the NFC West.
No, the NFC. I think they're the best team in the NFC. When healthy. To be clear.
Okay.
I do. I think they can compete with anybody when healthy. Like that.
I mean, yeah, they can compete with anybody, but are they the best team? No. If they're good. They're
the best team?
I think they're better than their record. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not the Bucs. I'm with Chelsea. It's not the Bucs at all. You think they're better than their record?
Who's the best team in the NFC?
Talk to me.
The Eagles.
Yeah, Eagles. Talk to me.
The Eagles struggled the last 2 weeks, but I mean,
they're good, man. They're good, but I don't know. They almost lost to the Colts, man.
Yeah, the timing's working out for them really well to wrap things up at the end of the season. What you accomplished in the beginning of the season means absolutely nothing.
It's how you finish the last. There's still a lot of time for them to get injured some more.
To get injured some more. That's great analysis, Wes.
Oh,
that's what you said.
Chelsea said.
There are so many Sundays for
said they're starting to get healthy at the right time to make a push for the playoffs, and I'm like, there's still a lot of season. There's still a lot of season left.
There is, but a lot of these divisions look locked up. Like, okay, you got the NFC North. You think the Vikings are better than the 49ers? Because I don't.
No, not after that trash showing this week.
I don't think
Kirk Cousins is not good.
Only being able to score a field goal, one field goal against the Cowboys. Like, if it was a competitive game, maybe, we would be having a different conversation. But I think that one really showed them for what they are. And it's not looking good. They played that game at home. They had everybody there. It was just a disaster. So I think it seems like they're kind of holding themselves together with just like some duct tape.
You want to know who's better than the 49ers?
Who?
Seahawks.
I mean, I don't think the Seahawks are better than the 49ers. But really quick before we get too far away, I don't think that Mike McCarthy should be able to outcoach the Vikings team. Okay? Mike McCarthy is not a good head coach. I'm sorry, Super Bowl champion. He had Aaron Rodgers, and the best Aaron Rodgers we've ever seen, who played in all domes going up to that Super Bowl. Okay? And here's the thing. Let me tell you, Hawkinson, tight end. They traded for him, okay? Then you've got Jefferson, okay? You've got Adam Thielen. You've got KJ Osborne. You've got Dalvin Cook. If you can't win with that, name a team that has offensive weapons like the ones I just named. Maybe the Cowboys, the team they played against. But even then, no, Pollard is not Dalvin Cook. Ezekiel Elliott is not Dalvin Cook, okay? Thielen is better than the 49ers' the Cowboys' second best receiver. KJ Osborne's better than the Cowboys' third best receiver. CeeDee Lamb and Jefferson are close, right? Jefferson obviously has more production, but I think it's as far as talent level, though, is what I'm saying. Yeah, definitely. As far as production's concerned, Jefferson's been the better wide receiver in the NFL, but I think CeeDee Lamb is equally as talented as Jefferson. So I'm just thinking, there's a coaching issue going on in Minnesota, or there's a quarterback issue going on in Minnesota? Because that defense is still good.
Quarterback. Kirk Cousins has been wildly inconsistent his entire career. I mean, he's had streaks where he's been really hot and streaks where he's sucked. And he just sucked.
Mm-hmm. Well,
he played terrible.
Yeah, and then we can drop down into the East, or pardon me, which is where they played, and you've got the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Giants, which it looks like all three teams are getting into the playoffs at this point. Because you look at the other divisions, and it's going to be a division winner out of the NFC South, probably the Buccaneers at this point, who are 5-5, and it's probably going to be a division winner in the NFC West, probably the 49ers. I'm sorry, Seahawks, I don't think they're as good as the 49ers.
You're wrong.
Yeah.
That's
well,
all I'm gonna say, you're wrong.
and you like just looking at
just
looking at the NFC East, it is way more competitive than any other division right now. I mean, but no, I mean the Commanders are somehow miraculously sitting at 6-5, and they're at the very bottom of this division. Which, I mean, I've seen some games; they don't look terrible. They certainly look better than Jesus. I think everyone in the NFC South,
even the Buccaneers.
Even the Buccaneers, yeah.
I feel like Buccaneers are starting to get hot. We'll see what they do after their bye week. But
they're another team that's not healthy.
Well, they aren't healthy, which is part of it for sure. But they also just kind of look like they're they don't care.
I think
they're just there because they're supposed to be winning, but not that they're. I think
the further away Tom Brady gets from his divorce, the better he's going to get. No, but the stress of divorce,
who makes more money than
divorce sucks, and so I think the further he gets away from that, I think it's going to be a weight off of his chest, and he's going to start playing better.
I think we're all forgetting a couple things here with Tampa. Okay,
sure.
And that is the couple things are the offensive line, and the offensive line. All right. One, the offensive line is hurt. Two, one of his guards retired at the age of 28. Three, the center has been hurt most of the year. Okay, that offensive line has been trash, right. And Tom Brady can't move. He can't move.
Been able to move.
A couple weeks ago, did you see him go out for that pass and fall down?
When he was the receiver?
No, I didn't catch that.
Yeah, he went out for the pass and he fell down.
But did you see the leg tackle he made? That was pretty good. I was impressed. He tripped up the dude who picked it off.
It was very, very vivid the way you painted that picture.
I remember watching it. I was like, wow, that was pretty good. He did a little jiu-jitsu leg takedown.
Okay, all right. So leg whipping. But no, I get where you're coming from. You're like, that was an athletic play from Tom Brady, a 45-year-old man. And I'm teasing. He's more athletic than me. What am I going to say? He's Tom Brady, you know? We got to get our look, he's been perfect his whole career. We got to get our shots in where we can. It looks like it's the end of the road. # boys to men. All right? So, you're right. Yeah, the NFC South, though, even taking into account Tampa's starting to come on, I don't think they have a shot at the Super Bowl. I don't think any team in that division has a shot at the Super Bowl. I do think, now coming back to the NFC West, I don't think, man, the Seahawks, they're just performing above expectation, and I think you know it, even though you're locked up in your fandom.
Yeah, no, they're definitely punching above weight. They're
I'd say they
were tools they have, and
they're performing above expectations. But I think that's just because we didn't realize how much Geno's improved.
Fight.
I don't think anyone realized.
Logical
from
fan
to this year, his improvement has been it's probably been one of the biggest differences that I've ever seen in my lifetime of watching football. Of one season to the next.
In the NFC North,
I just want to touch on one more thing with the NFC West.
Oh, we're coming back to the NFC West.
Screw the Rams. I'm glad they suck. I hate them.
We're coming back. I promise. Yeah, we're going to talk about the Rams, the Super Bowl champions. That was perfect timing. All right, so the Vikings, I think after what we saw Sunday, I don't think they're a Super Bowl contender. I think with Kirk Cousins, he's a liability. I don't think he can perform in primetime games or big games, right? He needs the conditions to be absolutely perfect to play well. And that's not a recipe for a Super Bowl, because guess what? There's going to be things that happen to you on your way to the Super Bowl that are not perfect or ideal.
Guess
what the second place team is in?
He needs
what do you guys think the NFC North second place team is?
Logically, Packers. I would think the Packers.
The Lions?
But it's not. No. It is not.
It's the Lions.
The Lions.
The moment Chelsea said logically, Wes immediately goes, think illogical. Lions.
They just beat the Giants. They just beat the Giants. That's a lot. As a logical.
Yeah, that team is weird, man. It's I think the American in me loves the underdog, right? I'm like, come on, Lions, you can do it. But I know they can't, right? They've got Jared Goff at quarterback. They've got Dan Campbell at coach. It's just a team built for fun. If we were to take a Frankenstein machine, throw everything for fun into a machine, the Lions.
Well, it made me sad. So I went to the playoff game several years ago when it was the Lions versus the Seahawks. And that made me sad that we were playing the Lions because I was like, I just feel bad because like I know we're gonna beat them because I was like the year after the Super Bowl.
Just feel bad.
I was like they never make the playoffs and we're just gonna like spank them out in the first round. I was like, sorry guys. I was like, I wish you guys could make it a little further, but
so the Rams, screw you Rams. I made what would you say, like a lofty prediction. I don't think it's real at all.
Come on, tell us.
But I said I think the Rams lose out because Stafford's hurt. They don't have a shot at making the playoffs at 3-7, and they draft a quarterback and trade away Stafford.
Which they probably pick C.J. Stroud,
the greatest
and how do you
college
feel
quarterback of all time.
The greatest.
I don't get it.
Quarterback
I don't get it.
The world has ever seen.
I mean, I've beat this dead horse forever, right? So much so that on Twitter, right? Twitter's blown up like C.J. Stroud's amazing. C.J. Stroud makes all the throws. I've watched Ohio State games. What are you seeing?
They win.
What are you seeing? Smith? You're seeing Harrison Jr. go up 10 feet high to make a catch because C.J. Stroud sucks. All right, I'm sorry, and he's going to suck in the NFL. I'm going to do this one more time for all you Ohio State zealots that don't know anything about what you're watching. But every player out of Ohio State is going to be great. Every player out of Ohio State, except for the defensive line, sucks. Okay, maybe a couple receivers.
Their receivers are amazing.
They suck.
They had like 3 receivers drafted.
Yeah, maybe a couple receivers.
Doing great this year.
They've been doing great. Let's look at how many of them, keep it going. Probably not many. But, all right. Every blind squirrel finds a nut, man. Every blind squirrel finds a nut. I'm sorry. They're going to have one good season. Their best player in the NFL is Denzel Ward, the Bosa brothers, and Young when he's healthy, who's been hurt. Okay? Everyone else from Ohio State sucks. He's a rookie. Yeah, I'm telling you. This is his first year. Hold out. Yeah, it's going to last with Jameis Winston throwing in the ball. Get the hell out of here. Anyway, so, again, every blind squirrel finds a nut. It's his rookie season. I'm going to tell you right now, I told you, Denzel Ward, the Bosa brothers, and Young. That's it.
This is funny because
congratulations.
I hate the Buckeyes, but man, your like hatred for like Buckeye NFL players is like crazy.
I hate Ohio State so much, and I hate saying hate, but I hate them. Their fans are annoying. We're always the best. You haven't played anybody. And when you played against Northwestern, you should have lost. All right? Congratulations, you smashed Indiana.
Maryland. That Maryland game was pretty close.
Yeah, wasn't it?
But was.
Oh, I forgot. What's Maryland's ranking?
So was Michigan.
What's?
They're not.
Oh, right. When they won the championship,
well, I guess
it was cool.
I guess we'll
go ahead. This weekend.
Good for them, but I mean, I guess this gives us something to fight about because I don't think Michigan is that great either. Like, I think they kind of suck in a big way too. In the way that all of
Michigan
these,
definitely doesn't have a quarterback.
Big Ten teams,
those are some
teams suck.
Michigan,
they will win by 1 point on the back of their kicker, and like.
But here's the thing with Michigan,
phenomenal.
They only won by 1 point because their running back has been amazing. Blake Corum has been out of his mind.
Right, so they hand the ball off, so they don't have a quarterback.
But every other game, Chelsea, they've won by 30 points, except for this game. Yeah. Whereas Ohio State hasn't.
Ohio State's won a lot of games by 30 points.
I see what you mean, but they haven't played anybody.
Let's take a look.
Syndrome.
Let's take a look at the point differential between the two teams. I guarantee you Michigan has a significantly better point differential.
I'm saying that they both suck. For the same kind of reasons.
You're saying they're
both terrible, and they're going to play each other, and it's going to just be terrible.
You're basically saying they're going to play each other to see who.
I think that's going to be a really good game, and you know what? I think it's going to be high scoring.
Exactly. And while I hate SEC dominance of this entire college football field, I will live to see one of them destroy either Michigan or Ohio State because their fans have been insufferable. Both their teams suck and deserved a couple of different losses.
So I mean, Georgia's going to win. And Georgia's probably going to win the national championship. But I would love to see Michigan slap the hell out of an SEC team.
What do you got? You got TCU. Michigan. Thank you, Wes.
TCU.
That was interesting because Wes just gave us his prediction for this weekend because he just said, I would love to see Michigan slap the hell out of an SEC team, which means he thinks Michigan's going to beat Ohio State.
Well, I just said I would love to see Michigan do that. No, I would love to see Michigan do that because I fucking hate Ohio State. Same with you. So I would love to see Michigan, like last year, Michigan beating Ohio State. That made me really happy because, like, I
let's
have
hope
some
for
really
that
good
again,
friends that are
and
Michigan
then let's
fans.
hope
And
that they
know
beat
that,
Georgia.
I like to see Michigan do well, and I would love to see them beat Michigan. I would love to see them win the national championship, like outside of Oregon. But like, I think Ohio State is a little bit better this year.
Bruh, your reasons for liking teams are always like just like I have a friend whose cousin went there, and like so now I like seeing them win. What?
They're a fun team.
You did the same thing for Virginia.
Yeah.
You did do the same thing for Virginia, Chelsea. You did do the same thing. You had a friend that went to Virginia.
It was cool. Go Cavaliers. I have swords in my apartment now. Go Cavaliers.
I have swords in my apartment.
Okay, fine. I said that Charlottesville has a soft spot in my heart. That's all I said. I did not say that I'm like their biggest fan or anything like that.
But are you going back?
Cavaliers? Don't have swords.
That was a great costume, though. That'd be a great costume idea. Look, I want to get this out of the way with Ohio State because I think that Ohio State has a great system for quarterbacks. They're Texas Tech and the University of Houston. That's who Ohio State is for quarterbacks. I'm sorry, guys, but I went back 20 years to see, has Ohio State had a good quarterback ever in the NFL? No, they haven't. Okay? They haven't had a good quarterback. I Wikipedia'd their full list of starting quarterbacks. Here are the ones that actually stood out to me that had good college seasons. Okay? Terrell Pryor became a wide receiver. Okay? Braxton Miller became a wide receiver. Cardell Jones, XFL. Okay? JT Barrett. I don't even know if he exists. JT Barrett. I don't know if he exists. I don't know. Justin Fields, transfer from Georgia. Can't throw, but runs the shit out of the ball. I love the way he runs. When he throws, 50-50. 50-50. Might be complete, might not. And then we had, rest in peace. This has nothing to do with him as a human being. It's very sad that he passed on. Dwayne Haskins. All right? And we all saw how his career went. We all saw what happened in Pittsburgh. We all saw what happened in Washington. Ohio State does not produce NFL quarterbacks. That's it. Case point. It's over. I've got 2 decades of evidence, and I could go back 3. I guarantee it. All right? They don't. So stop telling me C.J. Stroud's going to be great. Stop telling me he's amazing. They just don't produce great quarterbacks. He's going to get drafted, and he's going to be a disappointment. Sorry. Yeah,
I'm not saying that.
Get Ohio. I'm just done with this Ohio State shit. Like, I'm done with it. I argued with a guy a couple years ago. I told you guys about it, about how Saquon Barkley was better than Ezekiel Elliott. I called him a homer several times. Who's right today?
What are you going to do if Ohio State wins a national championship and then C.J. Stroud wins MVP next year?
He's not going to win MVP as a rookie. I can't think of a time when that's happened.
Rookie of the year.
But, like, I'll eat this shirt.
Okay.
No, you said find rookie of the year. No, he said find rookie of the year like last. Like, no, if he wins MVP, I'll eat this shirt. If he wins rookie of the year, we'll figure it out, okay? What's the most famous food in Ohio or whatever, or the disgusting food?
I want you to eat fried crickets again.
No, eat a bucket of Buckeyes.
Oh, that nut? Who names a fucking team out of a nut? Anyway. So that's my opinion on Ohio State. We're going to get back to college football, but let's really quickly, we've got about 15 minutes left in the show. Let's hit it up with, I do think that the 49ers are probably top tier in the NFC. Right? I think
when they're healthy.
I do think Wes is sticking with Seattle, which is weird because Seattle could lose this weekend. They could lose this weekend.
Go Hawks.
Right? Like the Raiders are terrible. The Raiders are terrible, and I'll admit that, but they could beat the Seahawks.
That's an easy dub for us.
Easy's lofty.
Easy dub. Easy dub. Thanks for the dub. Thanks, Josh McDaniels.
I'll be watching, and then we can discuss next week.
Yeah, but again, 49ers, Shanahan is an amazing coach. He does amazing things. They've drafted very well. College football. Chelsea hinted at it. Michigan, last-second field goal for the win, but they weren't the only ones. Wes texts me in the middle of this game and goes, I thought they were going to blow it. Go ahead, Wes.
TCU, man. TCU Baylor. That was I can't even remember what exactly happened in the last play of now I remember. So they
didn't have any timeouts.
So they ran it. They ran it with 0 timeouts instead of on third down, instead of throwing a little out route or something like that. And they had to scramble to get the field goal team out there. And I was like, he's gonna miss this. I was like, he's got 5 seconds to get lined up. And he makes it. He makes 48-yard field goal or something like that. Bangs it through the uprights to keep TCU's undefeated season. I was like, what the hell just happened? The number of times the kickers miss those?
Yeah.
In college, it's probably 80% of the time, 90%. That was nuts.
No, absolutely. It was a wild game. It was a wild choice, right? Lots of coaches making questionable decisions. Yeah. This last week is the theme. And then we had Tennessee. Sorry, Hooker.
Yeah.
The Ducks did, but they're out of the playoffs, I think.
Rose Bowl.
I think we're hoping for USC to win against Oregon just to get the Pac into the playoffs. You don't want to see the Pac even in the playoffs? You want to see 2 SEC teams?
If it's a guarantee that Oregon still gets that Rose Bowl slot if USC goes to the national championship, sure.
The playoffs. I don't think USC is going to national championship
or the playoffs.
So here's you want to shut up. So as we're talking about college football, I don't want Tennessee. Sorry, Hooker, it really sucks.
That was crazy. That was some impressive offense from South Carolina and Spencer Rattler. I mean, they went 7 for 7 for touchdowns on their first 7 drives. It was crazy.
Yeah. So sometimes you got to find your footing. But what I was going to say is we don't want to leave without that. Now, I'll give you my perfect playoff scenario, okay? Georgia wins out. TCU wins out. Ohio State and Michigan play a really close game. And then whatever team there finish out the season without losing moving forward. And then whatever team wins the Big Ten championship. And we get Ohio State and Michigan in the playoff. That's my ideal playoff. No, ACC sucks. All right. So Uiagalelei is not good.
All right. Again, I'm thinking. So USC, TCU, Michigan, Georgia.
Okay. Chelsea.
I hope Michigan wins.
Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, LSU.
No. Virginia.
My nightmare fuel would be LSU somehow crawling, scratching, climbing its way back into this thing. I would rage at it.
The only way is if they beat Georgia in the championship.
Yeah, but that being said, I don't know. I do think that the top 4 is probably going to stay the top 4, even with an Ohio State or Michigan loss, unfortunately. So I don't think we're going to see any major sea changes in, what's happening here. But
I think we'll have some surprises.
I don't know. It's still always hard, though, as an Oregon fan to root against or to root for the university spoiled children.
Yeah.
It is just one of those things that has been ingrained in you, from the
But you got to root for your conference to make it so we can have some parity.
No, I know. I understand.
They're leaving. He's bringing it back all the way back to the beginning of the Sad Fan when Wes went on his rant.
Yeah. Yeah, they were the first to say, show me the money.
Yeah.
Right? They were Jerry Maguiring that crap and trying to find the door. So, I mean, yeah, another prime example of why it's hard to cheer for them. But, if someone from the conference has to make it and it can't be Oregon, then sure, USC, woo.
So here's the thing. My ideal is I do think that Wes's is the most realistic, but I do think Oregon's going to beat USC because that's just how the Pac works. The Pac-12, that's how the Pac-12 works. It's
It's always cannibalism.
Yeah, and I do think out of nowhere, even though Bo Nix is hurt, he's nicked up a bit. I almost said he's knocked up. He's nicked up a bit. I do think that Oregon somehow, because football happens, beats USC. I do think that happens, which eliminates USC, which is why I gave mine, which I think if it's a close game between Ohio State and Michigan, I don't see them losing again to anyone else. I do think as long as Georgia does their job and beats LSU, it's Georgia and TCU wins out. Georgia, TCU, Michigan, Ohio State. So it'd be Ohio State against, if all thing goes the way I hope it goes, it'd be Ohio State getting their ass whooped by Georgia in round 1, Michigan beating TCU in round 1, and then Michigan-Georgia rematch of last year.
Who does TCU have next for their last game? You never know.
Iowa State's a weird team, man. Iowa State's another one.
Iowa State beat Oklahoma State when they were undefeated that one year, and they lost out on the national championship.
Yeah.
So as we wind down, we got about 5 minutes left. I don't want to leave without saying, if you get a chance to go to YouTube and check out what happened to an Ole Miss football player when an Arkansas fan, after Arkansas beat Ole Miss and effectively eliminated Ole Miss from any playoff implications as well, he ran down onto the field, stole the Ole Miss wide receiver's helmet, and then ran away with it and was chased through the crowd by security. Please watch that video. But now on to football. Or European football. Cool news out of Budweiser from all that, though. Budweiser is going to give the winning club all of the beer that was slated to go to the World Cup, which is an estimated $75 million worth of beer. Yes, hats off to Budweiser. We had some fun. We did have some fun. Now, for all of that, there has been some fun already. Saudi Arabia is partying. I love the video of the dude ripping the door off the hinges. Did you guys see that one yet? There's a video of Saudi Arabia. They go nuts, right? And if you watch the background, one of the fans shakes the door and he rips his living room door off the hinges, and he just carries it outside and sets it in the front yard. And the house is partying, right? I'm sorry, say what you want. I'm not going to take away from somebody's feel good. I'm never going to take away. That was so cool to see some people that happy.